Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Lost Coast podcast. Today, I got a very special guest with you for you today. She's got one heck of a story, so go get your tissues, go get everything ready. This is an amazing woman, Katia Conte. Got to get that right. So, Katia, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Corey, for having me.
So, our listeners here, I know we're going to all be on the edge of our seats this entire conversation here, but why don't you start off a little bit about just telling us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in what you're doing.
Sure. So, as you know, my name is Katia. I'm originally from New York, Long Island, and I run a nonprofit here in New York. I run a child cancer foundation that was started about 4 years ago when my oldest daughter, Daniella, was diagnosed with a rare cancer. Actually, she passed away 4 years ago, but she was diagnosed in October of 2016. After multiple treatments and radiation and surgeries, she unfortunately ended up passing away from this rare cancer back in March 2nd of 2020, which was about a week before COVID hit us. And we were thrown in a world we knew nothing about, my husband and I. We had three little children at home, and it started in October of 2016 in the fall, complaining about a belly ache. And you really don't know, what it was. As a mom, you don't think of the C word, which is cancer, right? You think of belly aches, you think of, oh my God, she's constipated. You cook something that might have hurt her stomach that night. Well, little did we know, after we rushed her to the hospital, into the emergency room that evening, they ran multiple tests and scans all through the weekend. And then that Monday, they sat us in a conference room and told us that your daughter has cancer. So this was, I think, in early of October of 2016, if I recall. It was right around Halloween, when we had just gotten back from pumpkin picking with the family. My kids loved Halloween. It was a family outing. And then that evening she was just, not feeling well. And you knew that something was not right, and complaining about a stomach ache all for about the last few weeks leading up to this. And then going to the hospital knowing that, multiple scans and biopsies let us know that your daughter had cancer. It was a rare cancer called rhabdomyosarcoma, which about 4 to 450 kids in the United States get it. So it is rare, but childhood cancer is not rare. Little did we know that we were thrown away, we knew nothing about. When your child is diagnosed, all you're doing is you're listening to the doctors, you're following protocols, you're turning around to your spouse and saying, okay, what is it going to take now to save her life? So we did it. We did it for a year. And luckily she was an outpatient, which meant that I was able to take her to treatments back and forth to get her chemo at the clinic, not an actual hospital. And we did it for a year. And, scans after scans, we found out that the tumor was shrinking from the chemo. So we went along with the protocols. And after a year, when she finished treatment, we got the great news that, she was cancer-free, basically. She was pure joy because, being diagnosed at 5 and losing all your hair within a month, and you have steroids pumped in you and all this medication, you just don't know what's going on. So she had to grow up really fast. My husband had to tell her what cancer was. We had to show her videos and pictures that everything was going to be okay. You're not the only one who gets this. And then you get thrown this handbook from social workers about what to expect. Her taste buds have to get changed, will be changing because chemo, as you know, if anyone who's been diagnosed with cancer, chemo just changes your taste buds. One day you like pizza and one day you don't. So there's a lot of changes that went through her body. But she fought through, and she beat it for the year, and we were cancer free, and then fast forward back in 2018, she gets scans again and MRIs, because you're not in a clear until you're in remission for 5 years. So you have to get scans and protocol is to get scans and MRIs to make sure that tumor and the cancer doesn't come back. So if I remember, in 2018, we get a call from the doctors again saying that, sorry to tell you, Mrs. Conte, but Daniella's cancer is back again. And I said, what do you mean it's back again? We went through a year of treatments and protocols, And unfortunately, this cancer, which was rhabdomyosarcoma, was in a very aggressive cancer. And it was just relentless, that just not even a year of chemo was worth trying. So we said, okay, what's next? What are the next steps? And the doctor said that we would need to give her more chemo, but for relapsed rhabdomyosarcoma. And we were like, okay, what do we need to do? And we were like, well, we need to have you your daughter needs to be hospitalized for a year, meaning packing your bags, going to the hospital, staying there for weeks and months, because I didn't have anything here, right? I didn't have the equipment here to provide her with all that. So they had to hydrate her. They had to give her steroids, blood transfusions and platelets once in a while when the chemo was destroying all her good and her bad cells. So Corey, we did it. We did it for a year. It was, have to say, the summer of 2018 in August was a summer of hell. Because I remember when they started the second round of chemo, it was just very harsh, which almost killed my daughter. And we did it. We did it. She fought, we did whatever it took. And she said, Mommy, I got this. I'm going to fight this. And we did it. We did it for an entire year, even though it almost killed her a month in. She developed flesh, she had to have nutrients in her IVs, you name it, and we did it. I slept in the hospital for weeks, months. Well, I had, childcare at my home because I had 3 other children too to take care of. She wasn't my only one. She was my oldest of 4. I had another daughter at home, I think, who was 7 at the time. And then I had twin boys. I had twin boys who were only 1 year old. So I had family who had moved in and take care of us and all that good stuff. But while I was on the bedside with my daughter, making sure she was getting the right treatments. Fast forward a year later, she was in remission again. She had beaten it for a second time. We were relieved for joy. And we thought we did it. We did it. And, she was so happy. She was granted her Make-A-Wish Foundation. We all went to Disney as a family the following year. She had a great time. She was able to make her whole first Holy Communion. She was able to do, she was only in 2nd grade. So she was homeschooled. So she wasn't able to go to school with the rest of the kids because she was immune compromised. She was homeschooled for 2 years, and she was able to move up, and move up her from her 2nd grade to 3rd grade. And we were just a happy family back in 2018 when everything was okay. And she beat it. Back in 2019, that's when we went on our Make-A-Wish. The kids had a blast. Daniella had graduated. She was excited to start 3rd grade when we got back. Everything was okay. Everything was great. We go back again to the hospital for scans and MRIs. And unfortunately, the doctors told us for the 3rd time, sorry to tell you, but the cancer is back again for the 3rd time. At this time, it's like, what do you do? What do you say? When you go through all these protocols that the doctors tell you, she did everything by the book. This time the cancer is not all over, but it's in 3 spots. But there's a chance, there is no more chemo. We exhausted chemo. They were going to do some kind of experimental treatments where they kind of planted seeds in her, where they kind of, I forget what it is. I think it's like when they microwave this tumor to a certain degree where they can actually kill it and fry it. It's called, I forget what the name of the procedure was. And we had a great surgeon who came out from Southampton to do this procedure just for her because she has such a unique case. And he came out and he did the surgery and we did it. He kind of killed the tumor where it was. She didn't have an option for surgery, Corey, because if there was no chance for her to operate for the tumor to be removed, because they told her straight out that if we would have gone and operated her, she would have died on the table. So there was no option for us. So the option was only for chemo, which we kind of exhausted at that point, or radiation, or implant seeds in her where we can kind of microwave and kill the tumor at a certain degree. And it worked. But at that time, when she had started 3rd grade in the fall of 2019, we went for scans again, Corey. And that October, they told us that, there are 2 spots that we cannot cure. It was too close to her kidney, because if they would have operated her, she would have, like I said earlier, she would have died on the table. So we kind of stopped treatment and we did radiation for about a couple of weeks, and the radiation worked. But at the same time, it happened so fast, Corey. To be honest with you, I get like visions of, you know, what happened because it happened so fast, is that when it came back a third time, she became very jaundiced. Her eyes were yellow. She was always very tired. So she was always getting treatments for blood transfusions and platelets. She wasn't able to start a new school in third grade. So we stopped treatment because there was nothing available. I'd actually decided to call a couple of sarcoma specialists. I called St. Jude's to see if they can even see my daughter, because at this point there was no one there that was able to help us. So I kind of took it out, you know, my superpowers and kind of did my homework and see who can, you know, I was ready to fly her everywhere in the world to see if someone can actually see her and do something. But everybody that I called was like, sorry, we can't see you. She was already treated at New York, blah, 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 this and that. There was nothing left more they can do. So what happening was, Corey, is long story short, she became very jaundiced and her organs started to fail in the fall of 2019. You know, I was kind of in denial at that point because, you know, remember, she pulled through 2 times. And I thought she was going to beat this for the third or fourth time. My husband kind of knew at the point, because he was a medical doctor, and he kind of knew that she wasn't going to make it this time around. We didn't want to give her more chemo because there was nothing left. We you know, she was kind of basically staying alive for us. So, you know, the doctor said just to keep her comfortable. And we did. We kept her comfortable. She was in the emergency room for about 2 weeks. All through Christmas, all through New Year's. And unfortunately, she ended up passing away on March 2nd, 2020, which was a week before COVID. It was a crazy time, you know. Oh, she passes, the world shut down. What do? You're grieving as a family. You can't have a funeral. So we kind of had a funeral immediately. And then a few days later, the whole world shut down. So, Corey, when the whole world shut down, my husband and I sat down together and we said, you know, what are we doing here? What do we have to do? You know, me as a grieving mom, I had 2 choices in life, being that I was her caregiver for 4 years, right? I saw the ins and out of everything. I saw her go from frail to being happy to being 80 pounds. You know, we were thrown in a world we knew nothing about child cancer, nothing. You know, you see all these commercials on TV as you're getting older with your children. You're like, oh my God, I hope that doesn't happen to your child. But it did. You know, she was a perfectly healthy little girl. And it did happen to us, because child cancer is not rare. It doesn't discriminate if you're black, white, you know, it can happen to anyone at any time. Did we know that it would happen to my family? No. Or my daughter? No. So fast forward to March of 2020, we have her funeral and everything. And then fast forward in April, we decided to call our attorney and say, hey, you know, we would like to start a 501c3 nonprofit in honor of our daughter, to keep her memory alive and to share a story with the community and beyond, because we didn't want any other family to go through what we went through. So fast forward 4 months after her passing, we were approved by a 501c3, and we started the 501c3 and the foundation. We started a nonprofit called the Daniella Conte Foundation, which is in the name of my daughter. And we kind of got approved right away. And then in October, we got a 501c3 letter that we were actually approved by the IRS, and we were able to fundraise and all that stuff. I, going into this, didn't know, Corey, what I was doing, running a nonprofit. I don't know if it was going to fail. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just said, you know what, let's start it and see what happens, because I did come from corporate background. You know, I worked in corporate America for 16 years. So I kind of took in my skills and kind of applied it to this nonprofit and see what it was going to take. And we did. We started the website. We had the website up going. We couldn't really fundraise in 2020 because of social distancing. And we actually started rocking and rolling back in 2021. We did our first virtual 5K, which raised over $65,000. And then we started doing galas, and the community started helping us, and you know, the community came together. It was great. You know, people wanted to help. They wanted to help us make a difference and help us raise funds for this, you know, for Daniella's foundation. So our mission, Corey, is when we started the foundation is financially assisting families, because that was one of the main things that we had great support with. You know, a lot of people don't realize when a child is diagnosed with cancer, finances are also involved, right? You have bills that are being piled up, your mortgage, your rent, utilities, the transportation of the gas that you use to go back and forth to treatment. None of that hospital pays for that. You know, the families are responsible for finances. Bills are being piled up. You know, there's one parent that has to lose their job. One has to be on the bedside like I did with my daughter. Bills have to get paid. So we had a great support system. We had a family that started a GoFundMe page that helped us relieve some of those medical expenses and our mortgage and our rent. But we, knowing going into this, you know, we had met other families that were in the hospital that had no support system. So when we started this foundation back in 2020, Corey, we decided to financially assist families who are going through a financial hardship while their child is in active treatment for cancer. Meaning we help families with their mortgage, we help them with their rent, utilities, car payment, childcare where they have other children at home. You know, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people don't realize when a child is diagnosed with cancer, both parents have to quit their job, one has to be on the bedside. So that's kind of when we stepped in as a nonprofit to kind of alleviate some of that financial hardship. That's one area of support that we help in our foundation. Another area of support is we have a memorial support program, which we help families that are, unfortunately, kids that are dying from cancer. Unfortunately, there are still kids that are passing away from their disease, just like Daniella did. So we have a memorial support program where we work closely with the funeral homes here in New York and Long Island to kind of alleviate some of that burial bill, whether it's a plaque or an urn or whatever the case may be. And then we also, on the other hand, also fund research, but we also fund research from the cancer that my daughter passed away from, which is rhabdomyosarcoma, because little did we realize going into this journey that she was getting chemo that was outdated from 25 years ago. There has not been a specific chemo drug that has been developed for my daughter's cancer. And why? I don't know. You know, that's a very disturbing when we were Googling and finding out all this research online. Also, you know, 47 children are diagnosed every single day in the United States. 47 children. That's 2 classrooms filled with children that are diagnosed with cancer every single day. And 1 out of 5 children will end up passing away, just like my daughter did, because they run out of treatment options. These children that are dying are running out of treatment options. You know, when doctors tell you there is nothing left more can do for your child, what do you do? What do? You call every doctor in the country to say, I need to save my daughter. Can you help me? You're desperate. You know, you're in this hospital and you have your daughter's life in someone else's hands, knowing if they're going to save her or not. But unfortunately, you know, Karen's way scenario, she ended up passing away, and I now taking my grief and my passion for the last 4 years to help, you know, not only share my daughter's story, but also bring a lot of awareness to child cancer, because there are so many diseases out there, you know, autism, Parkinson's, you know, breast cancer, but what about child cancer? I say, you know, we need to bring a lot more attention and awareness to child cancer, because these are our children that are dying from this horrible disease, and there's no treatment options left. You know, pharma, I have to say, but pharma doesn't want to invest in pharmaceutical, you know, they don't want to invest in cancers, rare cancers. It comes to private foundations like us, the Daniella Conte Foundation, and other families who have lost a child, to fundraise so that we can fund these scientists and these doctors, so that they can fund better treatment options, so that another child that doesn't come along that's getting diagnosed doesn't have to go through what my daughter went through, you know, later down the road. But fast forward 4 years later, I'm proud to say that we have already financially assisted over 425 families. We are a 100% volunteer organization. 90 cents of every dollar we have raised has gone into our programs and into research, which I'm so proud of. I have devoted my life, and I have a passion for this. I work out of my home because no child should ever be, you know, no family should ever be told that there's nothing left more we can do for your child. I am so proud of what I've done in my daughter's name. And now we're just making a very big difference in these families' lives and an impact, because we're here to say, you know, we've got you. We got your mortgage paid. We got your rent paid. You know, we'll pay your lights to keep them on, so that you don't have to worry about for the month where your money's, where, you know, to be with your child. Don't worry about where that money's going to be coming from that month. And I'm just so proud of what I've done in my daughter's name. We're growing tremendously. And, the goal hopefully for the foundation, Corey, in a few years is to go national and to help families in all 50 states, because I feel like the financial assistance is always going to be there. Child cancer has been around for a very long time, and it will, but the financial assistance of the families is always going to be there. So if we can provide some kind of financial support to these families, I can always say, I made a difference in somebody else's life. Um, and I'm so grateful for all our donors and supporters that supported us over the last 4 years. We do 3 major events a year. They're very exhausting, but they're rewarding. I'm very proud of what we've done, and just going to continue to do more and spread more awareness um, to help more families that are going to go through this journey. So,
That's that's a story that we're all going to remember. It's amazing what you're doing. Um, like when we talked before, you know, my son had a best friend who had cancer too, was diagnosed. It was, I mean, it tore the little town that we're in apart at the time. He did get through it. He is doing well now. He's what, 19, 20 years old now. But he got it, I believe, when he was around 5 years old too. And it was just heartbreaking times. And then, that's a story of a survivor, you know. Then they say you're never technically always free from it, but uh,
right.
he's gotten at least where he is today. It's just yeah, the work you're putting in to try to make awareness about this. So hopefully we can have more survivors, start the process, instead of 1 out of every 5 passing away, let's hopefully we can get 1 out of 10. We don't want any, but we can't, nothing will be perfect, but to make the numbers a much larger spread would be a great thing. And what you guys are doing, raising the money to make, number one, the awareness, to put into maybe the more research, of course, and then the main thing to help those families who are going through it. That's just,
The
it's,
financial, I mean, the financial aspect of it, it doesn't stop, especially with the transportation to take. I remember going back and forth for 4 years, with the transportation alone, costs, it all adds up. I remember being in the hospital for about a month and then just going to pay my parking bill was like almost $1,000. It's like, what if a family doesn't have that? And you have one income coming in, while the other parent is at the bedside with the child, and you have other children at home, expenses add up, bills have to get paid no matter what, and that's kind of what we kind of went in knowing that, we had a great support system, knock on wood, and there's families out there that don't have anybody. So for us to help these families is kind of rewarding, you know, it's hard to say, unless you lived it, you don't know what it's like, and it's unfortunate that it happened to us. But now, we're making a difference in the world, in the child cancer world. We hope this doesn't happen to anyone. But like I said, every day, 47 children are diagnosed with cancer, and families, are in need. They're in need of financial support, no matter what, whether it's a gift card to a Walmart, to pay for groceries for the month. That just goes a long way too. Putting food on the table so they don't have to worry about that. So I'm just so proud of what we've done. I'm just going to continue to help more families, and hopefully, there will be a cure one day. My goal is to cure cancer, but I'm not superwoman. There's a lot that goes into it, and it takes a long time. Especially going to finding a drug for a specific cancer and then trying to get it FDA approved and going through clinical trials takes a long time. So in the meantime, we're just financially helping families as many as we can. And I'm so proud that we have never had to turn any family away over the last 4 years that has turned to us for financial assistance. And it just makes me work even harder, Corey, getting up in the morning and knowing, okay, what is my day going to be like? How many families are we going to help today? It's just so rewarding at the end of the day, knowing that I made a difference in someone's family's lives. It's just so rewarding and goes a long way.
yeah, I totally commend you for that. It's amazing what you're doing. Like I say, an amazing story. Now our listeners are probably, wiping their eyes right now. I know I'm trying to hold mine back. Um, what's the best way they can help you in your mission?
There's so many ways that it can help, it doesn't even have to be financially. Follow us, follow us on social media, we're on Facebook, Daniella Conte Foundation with 1L. Our logo is the purple butterfly because my daughter loved butterflies and her favorite color was purple. So that's how we kind of came up with the logo. We're also on Instagram, Daniella Conte Foundation. You can follow us on there. We're on X, we're on LinkedIn. If people can help us financially, just follow us and share our story. We try to post as many families as we can help on our social media page because we're very transparent when it comes to donations and where our money goes, Corey. So when we help a family, we like to post it and show our donors where their money has gone for the month and say, hey, because of your donations, we helped this family with their mortgage or their rent. And we like to share a story of a child who we made a difference in, and each child that we help has been diagnosed with some different type of cancer, whether it's leukemia, whether it's brain cancer, or rhabdomyosarcoma. You have to remember cancer is just not one subtype. There's so many types of cancer. So we try to share that on our social media page. If people do want to donate and learn a little bit more about what we do, and learn more about my daughter's story, they can go on our website, which is Daniella, which is with 1L, Daniela, Conte, Conte, foundation.org. And they can read about our foundation and learn a little bit about what we do. And if they want to make a small donation, they can too.
That's great. I mean, everyone should go follow you then, share the message,
Yeah, I mean, if you're sharing a post on Facebook goes a long way because you just don't know who it's going to touch or who it's going to reach. We also post events. How we raise our money is we have 3 major events a year. We're planning our huge annual gala in October here in New York. That's where we bring some of the families in for the year. We invite 1 or 2 families every year to share their stories and how our donations have made an impact in their families' lives. So we will be, inviting some of the families this year to the gala. That's one of our events that we have. We also have a casino night that we have every February. We also have a 5K, which we do every year in April. And it's not only even though it's hosted in New York on Long Island, we also have a virtual option where people from all over the world can participate. It's $30 for the registration. You get a t-shirt and a medal. Keep an eye out for the next year's date. Which we attract about 500 to 600 participants a year, and it's great. It's one of our biggest fundraisers, and all the money and the proceeds that we raise from that goes to help more families in the community and beyond.
Wow. Now, I'm in the financial sector of this world, and I'm sure you see it with these people that you're running into, that you're helping. Most of them probably don't have any insurance involved either. That kind of helps with any of that comes about,
Yeah, I mean, we've also helped pay families with medical bills, covering copays. A lot of insurance doesn't pay for medications. We give grants to families, so they can actually pay their medical bills as hospital bills as well. So we cover even car payments, phone bills, not only mortgages and rents and gas and food. We cover every living everyday living expenses. So they don't have to worry about where that money is going to be coming from that month. So we cover everything.
Yeah, no, that's great. You're helping them. Well, what else would you like to tell our listeners today? I mean, this has been a heck of a story, number one. I recommend everybody reaches out, follows you, shares the content on your social media platforms, just so we can reach out to a bigger
Audience.
spread.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has been touched by cancer, whether it's a sibling, a spouse, a loved one. Cancer touches everyone, but when it touches a child, it just goes a long way. And like I said, little did I know that it would touch my family, and it did, and now I've dedicated my life, to running this nonprofit to bring a lot of awareness to this disease and my daughter's story too. A lot of people, Corey, don't know also September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. It's a very big month for us here in September here at the organization, where we raise a lot of awareness. We partnered up with a lot of schools, how our community can help us raise awareness whether it's wearing, you know, a gold t-shirt, a gold ribbon. Last year we gave away over 10,000 gold shoelaces to multiple high schools here in our community to help us fundraise and sell these shoelaces. So, you know, to help us raise and bring the awareness of the families in the community that are fighting today. And I'm proud to say that that campaign helped us raise over $15,000, and that helped us help 30 families. You know, people donate $5, $10. It just goes a long way. You know, it just goes a long way, and you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised how much of a difference $5 or $10 makes. So
Yeah, if we can all just give $5, that would be huge.
yes, it goes a long way to help these families, you know. So, and I'm proud of what I've done. But, you know, for those that are listening, you know, please go on our website, even sign up for our newsletter, you know, and hear about the different stories that we share each month. You know, we feature a story each month in our newsletter, a child each month of how our donations are making an impact in their families' lives. So also sign up for our newsletter, which is on our website.
Yeah. All right, Katia. I think we're going to bring this to a close. This was an amazing episode here. It was one of the most heartbreaking stories I've heard so far in doing this. And I really hope this helps and get the message out there so we can get you guys some more help so you can help some more people.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you so much for having me and allowing me to share my story. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that being said, this is the Lost Coast Podcast. We'll be signing off, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you so much. Goodbye.